Cool. So, as usual, let's start off with some positivity. So in the chat, in the past 7 days, what is one win that you have had? It could be in the gym, it could be with your nutrition, it could be personal life, it could be professional life, it could be maybe you just started this journey. Harleen is here, it's her first call. I'm pretty sure, I don't think you were here last week, so that's a cool win. But any win that you've had in the past 7 days. Feeling it on my slow negative squats. Love that. Ooh. Last week, so just to branch off of the Maria squats and a learning situation for a lot of people too. When we first had it, it's a very, very different variation, which she wasn't really comfortable with. And she first did it and I was like, oh my gosh, you are shaky. She's usually like killing her squat. So super, super shaky. First 2 weeks, it like started to get better. And then third week, she really got the hang of it. And she was doing my weight. And as I've said, she's really fucking strong. So she was doing my weight and it was like for 7 reps and I'm like, keep going. And then she had to get 8, she got 9 and she got 10. And I was like, that is your go. Next week, you have to go heavy. There's no way that your rep range is 5 to 7 and you got 10 reps. So if anybody else feels that, make sure that we are really just pushing into how we are not underestimating ourselves. Killing my workouts, love it. Feeling better after being sick last week. Oh, I'm sorry you were sick. Carla just got this cool pull-up thing in her house and I was living for it. I'm so happy you got it.
I need to adjust a little bit. I need to adjust a little bit because I was hitting my head today trying to do dips. I was like, okay, I need to like work with this, but it's fun.
No, that is awesome. Now that you have it, something, because if any of you have like those little pull-up bars in your house, what I did for a while to get my first pull-up is like 3 times a day, just go up to it and just do 1. And I did that for so long and it helped me get to like my pull-ups to increase. I even do it now. Sometimes on my walk, I'll go to like the playground, I'm passing by and I just do 2. And we want to just do the very, very minimum, but just doing that all the time, your pull-ups are going to shoot up. Yes, planned my meals yesterday and reached my macros. Yes, amazing. And it did my first whole workout. Yay! Cool, cool. All right, good stuff. So let me share my screen with you. If anybody comes in, I will let them in as we go. So today we are talking about the menstrual cycle, which is one of the most popular in terms of recommendations that we've had. Actually, I won't say that yet. But yeah, it's one of the most popular. A lot of people, when I say like any recommendations, I really do take those into consideration and I have a full list for them, but this one came up a lot. And this one specifically really resonated with me because these were a lot of things that I really wasn't taught to this level that we're going to learn it today. With this, I will say I'm not 100% an expert on hormones, on your period, on all of the things, because there is so many different avenues that this can go in. So what I wanted to do today is just kind of give you a general sense of what's going on and help us understand our body a little bit more. All right, so we're going to talk about the 4 phases. We're going to talk about how it affects your training and your daily life. We're going to help this information rid us from self-sabotage. So that's kind of like the most eye-opening that I had from learning about my menstrual cycle, because a lot of the things that happen to us over the course of a month, when like most of you are, when we're like driven and we're go-getters and we're doers, when something's off, sometimes for people that tend to self-sabotage, it's like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this today? Why are things not working out the way that, they usually do? So that's really my main thing that like resonated for me, and hopefully that you can learn that today. And we're going to talk about fueling our hormones and how the foods that you have in the cycles can also benefit you. So we want to think, this is where my affirmation. Again, with your menstrual cycle, we're not always going to feel the same. We have energy, we don't have energy, right? And we never want to go into what's wrong with me. We more so want to understand like what's really going on here, right? I catch myself sabotage and I change my mindset. And a lot of the ways that we change our mindset is through education of understanding what is going on, right? So we want to think of our menstrual cycle in terms of seasons. And this has helped me really just visualize it and not make it so complicated. So we have our spring, we have our summer, we have our inner autumn, and then we have winter, right? Spring is your follicular phase. Then we have your ovulation, which is summer. We go luteal, which is autumn, and then your period is in winter. Some people will say your menstrual cycle starts day one of your period, and others will say your menstrual cycle starts day one of or day one that you stop your bleed. Now, when we think of foods that actually fuel our period and our cramps, we want to think of day one being that day that is right after your period. What can I do within these next couple of weeks to make sure that my period just doesn't hit as hard, right? So phase number one is going to be your follicular phase. This is your spring, right? So on the left throughout here, I want you guys to kind of get a visual of how your hormones change as well. This is an app that I use that I'll recommend to you at the end, right? So on the left, you'll see that for all of the phases. So in your follicular phase, right? This is day one of your cycle. It lasts about 7 to 10 days. In this phase, it is a high hormone phase, especially since you just came out of your period where literally you were just ground zero of hormones. Hormones were at like absolutely on the ground, right? In this phase, we are feeling high energy, high motivation, and again in spring, think of if you do have seasons wherever you live, how you feel when spring is coming. You start wanting to go out a little bit more. It was just winter and you weren't feeling so great, but now your skin is starting to clear up, right? You're saying yes to the plans. You're starting to glow a little. Your body is responding more, right? This is spring renewal. We think flowers, we think leaves, we are glowing. We also become a lot more outgoing and upbeat. And this is the time to be creative, right? To direct our energy to stimulated projects. And your most difficult projects can be in this phase. I mentioned this part I know a lot of you work in the creative space. So we have projects and our year doesn't, or our month doesn't really always look the same. Our weeks don't really look the same. Now for me as a creative as well, and being in front of like camera and talking to people and things like this, I never really understood why some weeks I was just feeling like, oh my God, I want to be on camera. I want to speak. I want to be so creative. I want to do all of these things. And sometimes I literally didn't want to do anything, right? So if you are in that space, if you are in a creative space, if that resonates with your job and you can choose this time to be more creative. Once you see, yes, my period is going to end that's when I can take on that project. That's when I can go really into this upcoming project. Now, how can we optimize how we feel for the rest of our cycle? In this time, we want to focus on high vitamin C foods. So we want to think citrus, oranges, grapefruits, lemons. We also want to think probiotic rich foods. Your digestion throughout the 4 weeks also changes. And during your follicular phase, your metabolism is a little bit lower. Do you ever realize how like sometimes you're just like not hungry or sometimes you are absolutely ravenous? Right, that is something that also comes with your menstrual cycle. Right, in this phase, you're not really feeling that hungry, and you might even feel like you're forgetting to eat because, again, you have all of that energy and all of that focus, and those are getting put into different tasks. So when you feel like, oh, my digestion isn't so great right now, we want to make sure that we are taking our probiotics, that we are taking our probiotic rich foods like sauerkraut, miso soup, yogurt, cottage cheese. There are a bunch as well. Right, so that's phase one. Right, this is again where you're just coming out. Like I heard the term like I'm feeling follicular, and it just really gives because my period makes me want to like be warm and cozy, but follicular phase I am just living for it. So now number 2 is going to be our ovulation phase. And this is now going to be our summer, right? I initially thought that the follicular phase was when I was going to feel the best, feel the strongest, but in this case, it's going to be your ovulation, right? It's a short phase. We're going 2 to 4 days. Now your hormones, we have high testosterone and high estrogen. You can see in this chart that I have here, the changes in the hormones. So this was the last phase. Oh, at the end, I'll show you. All right, so the last phase, right, we're here. Oh, it's right here. So we're here, hormones are starting to rise after our period just hit. So in this high hormone, high testosterone phase, we are starting to feel that very powerful energy. We have peak energy, peak strength, peak sex drives. We also have high inflammation during this time. Some people might get cramps. So if you ever feel like, wait, why am I getting cramps? My period's not for like another 2 weeks or so. This is normal now, or common, right? When we think of cramps to a level that are unbearing, or just you're getting cramps all of the time, things that can be happening within cramps are hormone imbalances. Now, that's not necessarily my professional, that's not my field of expertise, but if that ever does come up for you, you're feeling like you're getting these crazy cramps or crazy mood swings, or during your ovulation, like you're feeling a certain way, that's something to get checked out. We want to make sure that our hormones are balanced, because again, ideally, these are how our hormones are moving, but that's not the case for everybody when we have a hormone imbalance. And what does our body do? It screams cramps. All right, now foods during this time. Raw foods, juices, salad, fruit. Again, what do you crave in the summer? It's usually these kinds of fruits, right? You want a watermelon, you want something that would be fresh. Now, also since it is a high inflammatory time, we want to think foods that are going to decrease that inflammation. So for example, turmeric. All right, next phase we are stepping into. So when you're in your ovulation, you might also feel like you're hitting PRs. And this is your time to really go for it. Go for it. We're pushing, our strength is up, right? This is again why I mentioned so much of understanding these 4 weeks really helped my self-sabotage, because I would do it all the time. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Last week, I lifted this much. Last block, I lifted this much. Why can't I lift this much this time? Right? During maybe when you hit that PR, you were in your ovulation phase. And just understanding those things just help us be like, oh, I'm getting a little crazy with myself. This is actually what's happening with my body and with my hormones, and it can help us have more care. So next is luteal. This is our longest phase. So you can see in here, right? This is what hormones start to do. And compared to this one, it's almost completely opposite. So estrogen and testosterone are starting to come down, and progesterone is starting to come up. Right, so this is what's happening inside of the body. Now, this is our longest phase. It's about 10 to 14 days, and this is now your inner autumn. And it comes in different phases as well. So in the first half, you might still continue to feel energetic because you are coming down from your ovulation phase hormones. So even when I first, again, I'll show you this app, when I started to understand that and see it and visualize it, I was like, I don't feel like I'm in my inner autumn yet. Like for me, it didn't really hit until like mid luteal phase, right? Because at the beginning, I'm still feeling fresh, I'm still feeling strong, I'm still feeling like, summer, like I want to go out, like I want to do things, I want to film, I want to be creative. All right, so in the first half, you are still going to feel that. Now, in the second half, progesterone, again, is rising. This is the complete opposite of estrogen. When estrogen is on the rise, we are strength, let's go out, right? When I heard about this as well, we want to think of these as like sisters, and they're complete opposite. Estrogen always wants to go out, she wants to say hi to plans or say yes to plans, and she wants to do things. Progesterone is like, oh, maybe we should stay home. Or like, maybe we shouldn't do that, maybe that's not really a good idea. All right, so that's how our mood starts to fluctuate as well. All right. And then in the end, towards the end of our luteal phase, that is when hormones are leaving. we're getting into our period. So when our period is about to hit and you feel like, oh, I've been really low, or things aren't feeling the same, like my strength levels maybe aren't there, right? Your hormones are literally tanking. Right, in this luteal phase, mood might decrease. You may have some mood swings. A lot of times people would think that during your period, you get the most mood swings, but really in your luteal phase, you might get a little bit moody. Right, the foods that we have in our follicular and ovulation phase are, and there's like so much more, if you even want to do more research on this and how foods and the hormones optimize for our cycle. But ideally, when I say like vitamin C rich foods, or we talk magnesium rich foods, we talk probiotics, we talk about all of these vitamins that we have, this is just helping our hormone health. So when estrogen and testosterone are leaving, these foods are also fueling that so that they can leave, so that progesterone can rise. When there is a hormone imbalance and your estrogen and your testosterone and your progesterone are not really in sync, this is when we are starting to feel these symptoms. Okay. In this time, you might feel decreased strength. Your metabolism is very high. This is when you're hungry. So your metabolism is going, you are getting these cravings. And in terms of this, when these cravings hit in your luteal, fuel them. Fuel them at the beginning of the day. When I'm in my luteal phase, I eat so much in my first half of the day. But I enjoy doing that because when I used to not do that, to be like, no, I'm gonna save and I'm gonna save room because I want to have this at night. When I save my calories, and I say this on all other topics as well, when we save calories because we're night eaters, we just become ravenous at night. So in your luteal phase, what has worked very, very well for me is I usually have an extra snack. So I have breakfast, and then I have a fruit, and then I have lunch, and then I have my usual snack, and then I have my dinner, right? So I'm having a little bit more, and I'm eating, and I'm front loading my day much more so that I'm not just hungry all freaking day, because I know that is very annoying. Now, when we think foods in this luteal phase, your period is about to come, we need to make sure that we are fueling this very, very rough hormones are taking phase. So since your hunger is now higher, we want to make sure that we are also keeping foods satiating. So slow digesting carbs, and if you are craving those sweets, which I'll get into a second, make sure that we are fueling that as well. With this, we never want to fight cravings. We never want to be like, oh my God, I didn't hit my protein to the T because, or like I didn't have a piece of chocolate because I had to hit my protein on the like dot. Like make sure that we are also fueling those cravings. So slow digesting carbs and sweets. Sweet potato is a good one because it kind of like does both of those, but any type of slow digesting carbs, right? I'm doing potatoes right now. I am in my luteal phase. Potatoes will keep me full for what feels like freaking hours. But if I do something like rice, I'll probably be hungry. And in my luteal phase, I don't really want that. Since my metabolism is so high, I want to have these complex carbs. And if you haven't watched the lesson on carbs, that lesson talks about the complex carbs and all the things that are going to keep you full. So that's one that we can start implementing as well. Now, sweets, magnesium. Craving chocolate, you're probably craving magnesium. Now, it's not a bad thing to fuel that magnesium as well and to fuel that chocolate craving. So I probably said this to you if at one point you said, I'm getting my period and I'm gonna start craving chocolate. Have chocolate before your period even hits. So when I start to see like my period phase is starting to approach, that's when I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna have a piece of chocolate and I'm gonna start fueling that, because if not, when my period actually hits, I feel like I want so much chocolate. But when you're having it a couple days before, you're just bringing that craving down, 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 and you can have a piece every single day instead of feeling like you need a whole entire like chocolate bar. Okay. Dark chocolate, cruciferous vegetables are also going to be very good for us, like cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage. You're probably having a lot of these as well, right? These nutrients are going to help us flush that estrogen so that progesterone can start to steal the show. That is ideally how we want it to work. And I think I have a thing here. Can't really see it too well, but again, follicular phase, right? Ovulation phase, right? And then, well, this is estrogen, and then we think progesterone. So first half estrogen, I'm feeling great, let's go out, let's lift, I'm ready for this. And then progesterone hits and we're not feeling the same way, but we understand why we are not feeling that way. And lastly is gonna be our menstrual phase. So when you can see that image on the right, your hormones compared to how they just were are literally tanked. You are just in your inner winter. So when I'm in my inner autumn, especially my second half, you'll see as well, you probably won't ever notice this unless I really talk about it, but I don't really talk as much on my social media, or my topics are different, or the way that I show up in the group is different. I notice it obviously because it's me, but you know, those are just things that I realize within myself. Again, before I used to feel like, why am I not showing up? Why am I feeling this way? What do I need to do to fix this? No, girl, it's your freaking hormones. They're literally tanking right now. So hormones are down, low energy, we have some bloating, we have some cramps. Things to consider if you have a hormone imbalance, if you are getting crazy cramps, if you can't get up, if you can't work out at all, things are to any part of getting towards an extreme, this is where we should seek some type of other test as well. So foods during this time, watermelon, cucumber, slow digesting foods, right? Things, because we are bloated, right? We want things that are really not going to bloat us as much. Iron and high magnesium foods. Grass-fed beef for my beef eaters, we want to think kale, dark leafy greens in this time. My favorite is cilantro. I honestly have cilantro for the full 4 weeks, but if you're not a cilantro person during your menstrual phase, this is a good time to add these foods. At the end, there is a chart that we got last year that I think is very, very, very helpful. And it gives you all different types of foods that you can have within this each cycle. So it literally says like, but your phase, have these carbs, these proteins, like these foods. And to be honest, if this is your first time hearing about this, the first time that I learned about this, I thought it was a little bit overwhelming. And for me, my first win was just understanding how my body responds, right? So if that's what you're taking today, how my body responds throughout different phases, that's fine. If you already understand how your body responds and the hormones and my inner autumn, my inner winter, my inner summer, if you've already understood that, the next step could be now, oh, these foods that she's mentioned, I haven't really been implementing those, I'm going to start implementing. But don't feel like, oh my gosh, I just learned this, and then I have to track my period, and I haven't done that before, and I'm like learning about this, that, and now she wants me to eat different things, and I'm tracking my calories. Again, these are just things that we learn more and more and more. I never, when I first started tracking my calories and you told me that I have to now eat different foods in the 4 different weeks, I probably would have like thought you were insane. So I don't expect you to do this, but again, something to consider once you start to get into a routine, once you're starting to meal prep, once you got the gist of your protein and your calories and things, it's like, okay, I can take that next step. Right, your first next step is adding new vegetables, adding new recipes, and then we implement this. So this took me a while to start implementing, but it does help me feel good. So if you have the mental capacity, if you're at that phase, start also looking into these things. For Emma. Now during your menstrual phase as well, your intuition is on. So this is your self-analysis time. So inner autumn, remember, we're kind of like getting into it, like we just got out of spring and we're starting to wind down, right? We don't really want to go out, we don't really want to talk to people. During your menstrual cycle, you do have that self-awareness now. And we want to even think of this as like a planning phase. My follicular phase is coming. Next week, I am going to feel on top of the world, right? In 2 weeks, I'm going to feel even better than that. So I like to take this phase and like, okay, I have my period. Let me be kind to myself. Let me slow down. This is a good time for me to slow down. But I also know what's coming, and that's really exciting for me. So workouts with this can vary. It can vary depending on the day and on the person, right? When last week we talked about deloads. Deloading during your period can be a very good idea. So during your period week, your hormones are tanking, you're not feeling so great, right? Let's take all of your workouts, that week's worth of workouts, and let's work out at a 70% max. Right, this helps that inner self-sabotager to not feel like, oh my gosh, I should be working out harder. Why am I not feeling so well? I have my period, and we kind of go into this little pity party. No, let's be intentional with it. So yes, let's work out during your period week at a 70%. Let's slow it down. Let's focus on form. The 3 weeks after that, you can focus on pushing. You can focus on pushing your strength. And for anybody that's new to that topic, that is how I train all the time. I've been training for like that for several years. I train 3 weeks hard and I train 1 week at 70%, which are called deloads, which we talk about here and there, especially once we get into phase 2, we'll talk a little bit more about. All right, and I say this varies on a day-to-day because towards the end of my period, kind of. Once the first 2 days pass, there is a very likely chance that I'm gonna wanna hit a PR. I don't know, I thought it was really weird, but some people will during their period be able to hit PRs, be able to lift really, really heavy. Maybe it's that focus, maybe it's that intuition, but the beginning of my period, I usually take it real slow. I still go because I enjoy moving my body and it makes me feel good and I don't feel that bad that I feel like I can't go. But after I personally will start hitting PRs. So understand as well, what does that look like for you, right? Oh, I put reloading instead of deloading, my bad. And then again, when it's your inner winter, we think warm, we think cozy, we think sweats, we think inward. Something that I also do to relate it to workouts is on the hardest day of my period, which will be like the day after I get my period, sometimes I'll just take that day off. So you have 5 workouts. If even on your period you're hitting the 4, that's not a big deal. If you can't work out, or if you feel like I don't really want to work out during the hardest day of my period, you have the whole entire week to play with. Move around your workout as you feel necessary to listen to your body. Right? I don't give specific prescriptions because, you know, I might be hitting PRs, Maria might be wanting to lay herself in bed all day, right? So who am I to tell each and every one of you how you should structure it? Start understanding how your body is responding. And of course, get ready for follicular. Once your period is over, you are going to start feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna meal prep, I'm gonna grocery shop, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna go for a walk, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, and I'm literally gonna do all of those things. All right, so in short, this is what we're looking at in terms of the 4 weeks. We have follicular, which is your spring. Ovulation, which is your inner summer. This can also show you how your energy changes as well. Luteal is your inner autumn, and then menstrual is now your winter. Right? There's a lot of benefits as well within our mental capacity and our mood for these phases. So again, if you are somebody that is a creative, if any type of your job requires like this, how can you start to use this, or just use this for yourself in ways that you're working on, self-care, progressions, right? Understand when you're feeling the most creative, when you have the most energy, when you are outward focused, when you are inward focused, when we want to reflect, when we want to like rest more. Understanding these things can just help us feel more connected to our body. And there's nothing more beautiful than feeling more connected to a body that maybe we spent a lot of years fighting against. And I know from experience, I spent a lot of years fighting against my body, right? But we don't do that anymore. So if you felt that way, right, this can help us do this to kind of, not do that anymore. Now, for the app that I've been showing you, oh, this is supposed to be a video. Oh, okay, you can, oh, that's weird. Okay, it's not playing. I think I messed it up when I was doing something. But for the app that I use, it's called Stardust. It's not only like really good because when you do, maybe I can pull it up right here. Let me see if I can show you. You can literally scroll through those screenshots that you saw of like the periods and things. You can scroll through and see how your hormones actually fluctuate in that time. Another thing that's really cool, especially once it's first starting to like read you, it gives you daily updates and it'll kind of tell you what you're feeling. And for me, I'm like, damn, something that's really freaking accurate. Like it'll be like, get ready for some snacks and some cuddles. And then I'm like, damn, I really wanted a snack today. And like I was craving different things. So the app is really, really good. And it's been a very simple way. I've used apps that only tell me when it's gonna hit, when it's my period time, but I've never used app that went so far into this. It's a little witchy too, so it adds like the phases of the moon as well. And it gives you like, I think I'm a purple witch or I'm a white witch. I don't know which one I am. You can add your friends, you can add your partner as well. If you want to track their period, it gives you updates. So it is a lot of fun. I've never used an app that is so in detail and also makes your period feel like something so empowering. So if you want to check it out, it's called Stardust. The first couple of months, it takes a while to figure you out, but once it does, it's actually really fucking accurate. And yeah, so with this, remember, understanding your period and understanding what is just going on with yourself, especially for anybody that has felt disconnected to our body, this really just teaches us that like, we just need to give ourselves a little bit more grace. Right, there's nothing wrong with you when you're in your ovulation and you don't want to go out, right? You're just in your luteal phase and your hormones are literally slowly coming down. So that's been the most eye-opening thing for me, just understanding how I can implement that, right? And then with this, we always want to make sure that we're being proactive, learning what's happened, knowing the power of food, right? Supplements as well. I think I've mentioned this on a call, but supplements that everybody should be taking. There are some that certain people will need more of. Again, we talk hormone imbalances, different bodies, different needs, different cramps that you're getting. But for the most part, everybody should be taking vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin B, especially during your luteal PMS symptom phase, right? Probiotics and some type of omega. So if you don't take vitamins already, these are my core. I even take some vitamin C in there. I take other things. When we talk about having the best love for our hormones within our menstrual cycle, these are going to be the top 5. As usual, I think everybody has a link to my Legion, but if you guys need vitamins or you haven't taken vitamins, use my Legion link. You can get your 20% off and everything will be on there and you can just get it all in one shot, but just make sure that you are taking your vitamins. This is the foods that I mentioned. Again, this is the next step. If you haven't even gotten into meal prepping and doing all of the things and calories, don't worry about this. But once you do get to that phase of like, we're becoming more intuitive, we are exploring new foods, our calorie intake is higher, we have the mental capacity to add so many more things. These are things that you can start to incorporate as well. I haven't quite gotten perfect at these things. Won't tell you that I hit them to the T, but I've started to become a little bit more conscious. And personally for me, this is something that I want to continue doing, especially just to see that response with my body and with my hormones. So I will post this in the group, or you can screenshot it right there. And yeah, that is it for today. So our period is love, food is love, and of course, strength is power. So that is how we will close out today's session. Do we have any questions for today? Before you ask questions, I may very well tell you that I don't know, because there's so many things that come with a period and with your cramps and with your hormones, and there are so many different bodies on here, so I will unapologetically say I don't know for certain things. But if it has to do with your nutrition or what we spoke about today or with your workouts, then maybe I will know. So feel free to ask any questions. I'm also going to post the Legion link in the chat for anybody that hasn't. I'll post the fish oil one just because it's the first one there. This is the fish oil one. Also, that's the omega, but for any of my vegan girls or vegetarian girls, I don't use this one. I use their everything else, but I don't use their fish oil. I get a vegan omega that I got on Amazon. So if you need that link, just send me a message and I will dig it out for you. Anything that you get on there, you can always type in El Gomez and you get like a bunch of stuff. Do you have any questions? Where's my water? Oh my god,
Question, but
Yeah.
something notice, like with my cramps, if I'm dehydrated, my cramps are even worse. So sometimes all you have to do is chug some water, like make sure you're hydrated before you get your cramps, and it helps a lot.
Ooh, okay, that's good. That's good to know. You know, with the water chugging, also salt intake is very, very key as well. That's probably why, well, I love a sweet salty, but like with my chocolate, when I'm hitting chocolate, I usually do like a salted chocolate, and I feel like that gives me hydration, and it also kind of fuels that craving. So thank you for bringing that up. You kind of like just tied two dots together that I didn't really realize. Any other questions, or does anybody have anything that they want to share? Anything that they want to share in terms of things that they've learned, or like anything. Anyone experience hair fallout? Could it be because testosterone one is higher? That is a very good question. I'm actually gonna write this down. So I have a friend. Let's see, hair fallout. Again, I will unapologetically say that I don't know to a lot of these things. But I do want to learn a lot more. So I have a friend that is a professional in this field, and she gives me a lot of this information. So I will get back to you on that one because I want to do research on that. But I would say that it has to do something with the hormones as well. Do you feel it? Is it during a specific phase that you feel it, or that happens? Not sure. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna ask her, and maybe that can answer your question, and it can be a more so common thing. I feel like everything that happens with everybody's hormone cycle is more common than we think. I've had major fallout in the last 3 weeks. Okay, cool. I'm gonna ask her to see if it could be that. I'm also gonna do some research on that because that can also be a lot of things. Stress levels can
It
also
could
be one.
stress.
Yeah, I was gonna say stress levels. If this is something recent, I wouldn't necessarily think, like maybe it's your period, but if it's happening all the time, like, oh, my hair falls out more. But stress levels usually is like the key thing for hair fallout. And also, I know that in the past, we haven't been fueling ourselves so much. So under fueling can also be a big factor on that, which obviously we're gonna be working on.
Sorry guys, I had a little kiddo in the background. Yeah, super weird. I actually feel a little bit better because I feel like I'm getting stressed out during my workouts. And I don't know, it seems like it started kind of when probably week 2 of the program. I just started, I know we have hair fallout. I have curly hair. I only wash my hair like once a week. But it's been like major fallout every single week, and it was kind of surprising because I had a lot of hair grow back at some point in time. So I've been taking vitamins since I started the program, and so I just was wondering if anybody had experienced that before. I'm assuming it's because since I'm working out harder and more consistently, it could just be the hormone level. But I know it was when basically like my calories were set. It was kind of that week I saw the dip.
Okay, so let's keep an eye on that. Working out is stress. So something that we can pay attention to. Have you noticed any difference in your overall stress levels or even in your sleep?
I've been sleeping way heavier. I've been just falling asleep quicker and staying asleep longer. And I'll wake up rested, but I still feel like, man, I could have slept a little bit longer. And I'm trying to think what else, but I feel probably I felt like an energy spike, especially in the evenings, when I first started the program, and now I can kind of feel my body being a little bit tired.
Okay. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that when I do your check-in. I'm gonna get into that a little bit. Something that I'm
Okay.
curious about is keeping, so this is something that I'll do with people that as well that experience those high stress levels. Because again, working out is stress. It's stress on our body, even though it's kind of like the good kind of stress. And what we can do as an adjustment if that continuously happens is it's like we can do those 3 full body workouts. But HIIT workouts, any type of like high cardio, those workouts are really gonna be a lot of stress. So we can swap those out for something a little bit more or a little bit less intense. This way we're still kind of getting the best of both worlds of strength, of still pushing yourself, but decreasing stress in between those sessions.
Sounds good. Awesome.
Cool, cool. Thank you for opening up about that. Yeah, with any of that, I appreciate you opening up. I feel like a lot of times too, sometimes in your check-ins, like things will happen like, oh, I've been super constipated or like this, that, like I have like things that you may feel are like TMI or like maybe I shouldn't mention that to her. All of these things that are going on with your body, please do mention them to me. Again, I'm super transparent. If I don't know something, I will probably tell you, hey, like, we need to get checked out, or we need to do X, Y, Z, right? Trying to find out why this is happening. So again, I appreciate you opening up about that. And just for anybody, if you ever feel anything, just let me know. Any other questions before I let you go? No, we're good, we're good. Okay, cool. If you do have any other questions, let me know. The recording is gonna be posted tomorrow. This is definitely a good one to rewatch so that you can learn. Stardust is the app. You guys have the link so that you can get your vitamins. If you need it, also let me know. And tomorrow I will also post the list of the foods so you guys can start exploring. Cool. Have a beautiful day and a wonderful week. I will talk to you soon.